My dad trained here for D-Day 80 years ago when it was the Sampson Naval Training Station. And the first time we visited their military museum, I'd hoped to find some record of him being here. We looked through all their old books, and then we looked some more, but we couldn't find any of his paperwork. We were told it wasn't unusual for some of these old papers to be lost or misplaced. The base had changed hands many times after World War II. It was a college and a hospital, even a granary. The Air Force took over in the 1950s, and after that, it was an Army airfield. In the 1970s, the old hospital building burned down. Who knows what was lost in that fire? My dad drove a landing craft at Normandy in 1944. His papers had to be here. They belonged here. So I fixed that this time. I put his discharge papers in the book myself. Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm John.
And we're the Geezers on the Go.
Go, go, go!
This time we're at Sampson State Park on Seneca Lake, the largest of New York's Finger Lakes, and home to a military museum we just had to visit again. The park is located on the northeast shore of Seneca, in the town of Romulus, about 20 miles from the northern tip of the lake. The park covers more than 2,000 acres and has 245 campsites with electrical hookups. It also has 10 lakeside cabins, a boat launch, and a marina, and of course, the Sampson Military Museum.
Before we get back to the museum, though, we want to show you a cool little driving and hiking trail you can call up on your cell phone.
Present on military bases throughout the country.
Then we'll strike out for some Seneca Lake wineries. They're not hard to find. There's more than 50 of them, so take your pick. And finally, we'll head back to the Sampson Military Museum for a moment of pride and patriotism that's worth the wait. It sure was for us.
There it is. We're here at Sampson State Park in Romulus, New York, and we're right along Seneca Lake, one of the many Finger Lakes up here in upstate New York. There's 5 loops in this campground. We're in loop 3. At site number 110, and just about all the sites here have electric. You have to fill up your water at where the dump station is, but there are a few faucets here that have threads on it, so you could fill up in the campground. Ours isn't one of the best sites I've ever picked. It's a little downhill, and we had to do some leveling, and for some reason I didn't pick one with a tree, but not a bad size, gives you enough space. But the odd things about here, I'm going to go show you around on the other side with the electric. That's John's sister over there. She came with us too. Most of the power boxes are located between the sites. So hers, she's on the other, way on the other side there, and that's her box with the little birdie sitting on it. And ours, how to use our extension over to here. So I would recommend, if you do come to Sampson, most of the sites are like this, bring a big electric extension cord. And just across from ours we have the bathroom, and there's another one of the water faucets, and it says you can't hook up to it just to fill up your water, but see, you can see there's the electric box, and there's way over here, and that's the way it is most of the spots here. But they're all basically, seems like every loop's the same, except maybe 5. We'll show you that a little later too, because that one's a little closer to the lake. But they'll have about the same spacing. They probably could have made them a little bit bigger, but there are close to 250 sites at this campground. So there's lots of opportunities to find something you like. Between sites 116 and 114, there's a little path that goes through the woods, and I just saw a deer walk through before. But there's another big parking lot behind that, which we have been in, and I just noticed if you keep walking down there, there is a little trail that'll take you down to the beach. A little bit of a trek, but it's doable. And like I said, there's close to 250 sites in this park, and it looks like maybe about 50 in each one, and just about all of them have electric, no water, and they'll have fire pits and picnic tables. And depending on where you are, one sites over here have good space behind them on the outer loop. Inner loop not too bad either, so nobody's like directly behind you. I just wish they could have spaced them out just a little bit more. Walking out from this loop 3 around sites 120, 122, you come back out again here, which I said there's a little trail, and there's also a big open space here. But if you walk down behind here, you can walk down to the lake. You can kind of see it in the background a little bit. And that little path will take you down to the beach. There's the big parking lot you can get into, and then there's one that goes down along this way. And this one looks like at one time was a nice little bridge, but it looks like it has since been closed. It says it's a coyote activity, so be aware. But also looks like that the bridge has been closed because besides coyotes, I think it's maybe the roadrunner came and dropped an anvil on the coyote's head out here. And as you come along around this loop, this is 126, 127. Not too bad into the trees. But again, if you were at this one, 127, your electric could be on that side and your box is over there. So just again, be aware. You need extension cords here. There's 135, it won't be too bad because you're by the bathroom. And over here, 137. And the even numbers here are right along the trees. And this one backs up to one of the other camping loops. And if you get to the end, we'll show you there's a nice big playground at the end. But any one of these sites are all pretty nice. Just depends on how far from the bathroom you need to be or how many trees you like. Here's the entrance to Loop 3. It starts at site number 98. And there's enough trees, so in the summertime you come, you get some shade. Like I said, they all have electric. Some back to the trees, some back to a big open field on the other side of the road. And I don't seem to me that this is, I would call it big rig friendly, because some of the sites aren't very long and you'd have to park like this guy has, and us too, kind of sideways. But there's no sign to say you can't park on the grass, so I guess that would be an option too. As I noted, there are some water faucets in the park, so if you didn't fill up at the dump station, this site 105 would be a perfect spot, because you could pull in there, put your hose over there, fill up, and you wouldn't have to wait in line at the dump station. Right across where you check in over on that side, though, you come around the back and there is a dump station and a place to fill up your water. Now when we first came in, it looked awful small because there's only 2 things and there's 245 sites here. But little did we realize that there's no sign here to tell you this, but if you go down the road just a little bit, they built a brand new state-of-the-art dump station.
State of the art, Jill?
State of the art, look at this thing.
Oh my goodness.
It's a 4-row thing with I don't know how many dumps over there and water fill up places, so you could come over here if it gets busy. It's a sight to behold. This is loop 5. This is the only other loop I'm really going to show you, because the other ones are basically the same, but 5 is the only one that you sort of get a view of the lake. Your loop 5 has the last of all the sites. It goes from 196 to 245. So it has about 50 sites, plus there's a lot of cabins back here too, so we'll take a look at those. So this is Loop 5. It starts over here at 196, and there's sites on the, I guess this is the outer loop, and it sort of backs up to one of the other loops. The inner loop, sites are nice. They have water faucets too in the middle. There's a bathroom there. And you got, if you're on the inner loop, you have quite a bit of space in the middle to either walk your dog, play some ball. And like I said, all 5 loops have about the same amount of space. They have gravel pads, some more level than others. And you can see out there, there's the lake. And we're coming up here, that's 200, that's an interesting looking trailer. Back here, 212 would be nice, you have quite a bit of space. Probably sites 220, and down here is this really big 222 are probably 2 of the nicest spots in this loop because lots of space there and you get a nice view of the lake, and you can walk down from there too. That's 222, and all these along here, 224 would be really nice. We were down here at the end the last time we were here. Unfortunately, couldn't get that spot this time. So the spots over here aren't bad either. And you have a decent view of the lake. I'm pretty sure we were in this last spot down here, which I think is 232. But see, you get a nice view of the lakes from out here. There's 232. And it's right next to these beautiful cabins, which are not cheap to stay in. And here's a nice look at these beautiful cabins. They look right out at the lake. I wish some of the campsites were a little bit closer to the lake like these are, but very few for these 245 sites or even have any view of the lake at all, which is a shame. If you come out of all the loops and you go all the way down to the end, there is a big parking lot that you can go down to the beach area, but like I know at one point, it is a bit of a trek down there if you have to carry a bunch of stuff. Here's the beach area, but it would be a little bit of a walk to try and bring kids and any kind of your chairs and stuff down here, because it is a bit of a walk from the upper parking lot. Some of these lakes, I wish they would just make some better accommodations to get down here. Again, the campgrounds are up above on the hill here, and there's the beach. There is a bathhouse, and there is a nice playground over here for the kids. But there's the parking lot to walk down is way up on top of the hill, and there is another parking lot that's down closer to the marina. But it's still a bit of a trek if you're carrying stuff and got kids. At least it's paved, so at least if you have, you can ride your bike down, or if you had in a wheelchair, you might be able to make it. Finally got a nice day after 3 days of cloudy weather and rain. And you get to finally see the beauty of the Seneca Lake here. And it's some 75 miles of shoreline and miles of places to go fishing and boating, and I bet you there'll be some great scuba diving here. It goes deep as 600 feet deep. I wonder if there's any wrecks out there. If you had a boat, the Sampson State Park here does have a marina. You'd have to check how you could dock or do anything here. I think they do offer, looks like electric, and some place to put a hose. There is water, and at the far end there is a boat launch. It's a pretty big boat launch. Just as you make your way out of the park and past the military museum, there's something called the lake trail, and it comes straight down out of the park, and there's these little kiosks or little plaques here that you call the number, and then they'll tell you about the different areas. So we'll have to That's right, it goes all the way down this road.
Welcome back to the tour.
Fire training took place at the Sampson Fire Hall, where recruits learned to run the fire hall and to fight and deal with fire.
These women, along with the Women of Waves, known as Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Services, played significant roles on Sampson Naval and Air Force Base.
We're up here in the Finger Lakes of New York, one of the most beautiful places
Right.
to go camping in the entire country.
Yeah, we're at Sampson State Park, which is on Seneca Lake, which is, I think it's the biggest of the Finger Lakes.
Yeah, and the campground really doesn't quite live up to the billing of the lake. It's
Right.
It's sort of a
It's nice, but it's nothing.
nothing special.
Yeah, it's a big campground. It has almost 250 sites. We were here once before a couple of years ago, and we stayed in loop 5. There's 5 loops, and that loop is right along, overlooks the lake.
It was closer to the lake, and
yeah.
it's the only loop with lake views.
And there's lots of things to do around the lakes too.
Yeah, besides the lake itself, which
Right.
has a small beach, nice
Mm-hmm.
little beach. But one of the things about this lake, it never freezes.
Right. It's kind of odd. You would think in the
Up-
cold of upstate New York it
Yeah,
would
here
freeze,
in
but
this
it doesn't.
weather.
But
But it never freezes. It's about 600 feet deep at its deepest. In fact, they used to at the Naval Training Center here. They trained submarines
Right.
for World War II, which brings us to Jill's father.
Yeah, my father, Harry Barnes, he was in World War II, and he actually trained up here on Seneca Lake when he was just 17 years old. It's kind of hard to explain.
In 1944, he trained for D-Day.
Day.
We did a little piece at the museum
Mm-hmm.
there. We brought Jill's dad's papers up and had them
Put them in the book
Put in the book. So
for all time, so he'll be in that
So there'll
historic
be a record
records.
of her dad being here at Sampson Lake. So and it was kind of moving.
And emotional. But because probably that this lake never freezes and the way the temperature is here, it's also a great place if you like wine.
Yeah, they grow a lot of grapes up here.
There's tons of different kind of wineries, white wine, sparkling wines, red wines. But there's also another thing you can do besides going on a wine trail.
Cheese trail.
Cheese trail, so you can go to cheese tastings.
Apparently the cows like it just as much as the grapes do.
Well, John here, we're at one of a winery called The Boundary. But John's looking up for our next thing. He's looking at our wine list. And what do you see?
Well, luckily we seem to be right up the road from about anywhere between 15 and 250 wineries.
So I don't think we'll have too far to drive to find another one. Huh?
No, we just have to find the road.
Right.
And then the wineries will find us.
Right, okay. We're at the Ventura Winery. It's sort of at the northern end of Seneca Lake, and I wish it was a little bit nicer, but boy, this is such a pretty setting. We had some lunch here and a glass of wine. We're living the big life here. Well, we're trying something different. Not only do they have a wine trail up here by Seneca Lake, they also have a cheese trail. So we're going to go in here and see what kind of cheeses they might offer. Very pretty in here, and I think we're going to have a cheese tasting. You can also have wines here, and so we're gonna try something.
Okay, enough with the cheese already. I'm thirsty. Sort of a mild tasting IPA.
Janet, what were you having? Some kind of hop water?
This is grapefruit hop water with notes of pine. It's very strange, but good.
No alcohol in it, right?
No alcohol.
And then you got a couple other flavored sodas too, right? So you
Lemon,
can
lime, cherry, orange cream, and root beer.
So see, you can come to the wineries and beer places, and you don't have to get drunk.
What's the point?
I know.
All right, Jill, what do you got
I'm
there?
doing some of the ciders. We've got a strawberry tangerine bombshell, it's called.
Oh, wow. Bombshell for a bombshell.
Bombs away.
Yes, bombs away.
We're here at the Sampson Military Museum. It's right here on the grounds of Sampson State Park, and at one time it served as a training facility for both the Navy and the Air Force, and my dad was here training, and we're going to bring some papers in later to add to their archives, so I'm really proud of that, and we'll be going into the building in a few minutes. It was finally time to add my dad's discharge papers to the official Navy records. Separation papers, and what do you think what are we going to do with them?
We're going to put them in, we have a round table there with binders that have separation papers and discharge papers. So he'll be in the binder along with the other guys that served in that time period.
Oh, good.
Alrighty?
We're following Dan into this archive place, so very exciting. I'm going to put on the top of his papers donated by, so that they'll always know who was there.
And then we've got the discharge papers.
Yeah,
It's right here.
Yeah, because he trained
So
here.
I'll let you just open this up. When
Okay.
you're done, close it. So you can stuff them, you can put it in yourself, you can take pictures of it, and you can look
thank
through
you.
that.
It
And they'll be in
It
there.
seems very appropriate because my dad was at D-Day.
Wow.
And he trained here.
Cool.
He was barely 17 years old.
Yeah, then you'd be surprised how many of them were 17
Yeah.
live. Some of them were 16 and live.
Put these in here. He said I can put one on each side, so. Okay, and there's both of them. We're going to open up the binder and put them in the first page with the rest of the people who trained here. There we go. There are some other pictures in there too. This is very cool.
Mission accomplished. We salute you, Howie, and thank you for your service as we close the book on this chapter of our trip. We're grateful to be able to share this episode with you, and, as always, we'll see you down the road.